Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Let's talk about managing your business and the appropriate way to manage your business. This really is going to apply whether you're small, large, growing, whatever it is. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is managing through data. All right, the data is going to tell you everything. Data is going to tell you where you are, where you've been, where you're going. There's so much you can do with data on your business. All right, there's a saying that liars always figure, but figures never lie, and that's the truth because a lot of times we make decisions or we have feelings that are based on emotion and our gut, when in all actuality the data is going to tell a completely different story, and it's going to tell what's actually going on and happening in your business. So the first thing that a lot of people always get hung up on is what should I track? What kind of data should I track? And then the next thing everyone immediately wants to know is how to benchmark that data. We're not going to deep dive. I was just going to kind of scratch the surface on a little bit of this. The most important thing is that you need to track something, unless you've got a dedicated person within your organization that is just like a big junkie on data and is going to be willing to dive in and get this information day after day. You need to keep it simple. You need to have some data points and some metrics that are easy to understand, easy to get the numbers, and easy to report on. That way it's not time burdensome. It's not this big commitment. It's not something that you're dreading to do, or it's going to use up a bunch of your time. So in my opinion, and this is very subjective, but this is what I have found that has worked best for us and our company and several other people I know. You just start off small, start off simple, start tracking something weekly, all right, and do it in a spreadsheet. That way you can keep historical data, and then you can start to play around with the numbers with different equations, and you can start getting running tallies and rolling 12s and year to dates and things like that. But keep it simple, okay? Regardless of what service you're in, maintenance, construction, whatever industry you're in as well, we're basically selling labor, and this is for the service industry type people. You're selling labor. It is, regardless of your product, the bulk of our expense and the bulk of our profits are made off of that actual labor. So it seems to reason that one of the biggest, most important numbers you're going to want to watch is going to be your labor. So we always recommend watching your labor as a percentage of revenue. And then we actually break ours down and we watch direct and indirect. Direct labor being what did it actually take to produce that revenue? The guys that are actually out there mowing the lawn, cleaning the house, washing the windows, whatever it is you're doing. And then the indirect labor, that's the owner, that's the office staff answering the phones, that's the managers that maybe they're overseeing the field crews, all of that stuff. They're not actually producing the revenue, they're not billable. So you've got direct and indirect, and then you want to watch them as a percentage of revenue, okay? And then do this weekly, all right? Put it on a spreadsheet, because then if you're watching it weekly, you got it on a spreadsheet. Now you've got monthly numbers. Now you can start comparing week to week, month to month. After a while, when you get a decent amount of data built up, you can start comparing this January to last January, this February to last February. You can start watching rolling 12s, and you can see if your labor's starting to creep up or if it's creeping down. Maybe you're doing a good job of stabilizing it. So those are really important. Another really important one that we feel like you need to be watching is going to be your close rate. So, I think everyone would agree that we're wanting to grow, we're wanting to get bigger. So if you're not closing your leads, then you're not going to be able to convert that into new work, and that new work is what's going to be actual growth. So, but not only that, not only do you need to be closing your close rates, you also need to be tracking your dollars spent on marketing, so you know what you're paying for those leads. How much is it costing you? What are you having to spend to actually get that client? Pretend like it's a Coke machine, how much money are you having to put into the machine to get it to spit you out a client or spit you out a Coke, if you will. So that's the other one that's really important. And then the next one is, for us, is going to be actual revenue produced. Okay, now this is going to be an easy one to have because you're already tracking your labor as a percentage of revenue. So you've already got your labor that was produced, and just compare it to the previous month. Or the previous week, or the whatever the previous period that you're benchmarking yourself against, and just make sure that your crews are actually out there producing the appropriate amount of work. Okay, and what you should start seeing too then is you're going to start seeing trends, and this is where you're going to start looking at your data and seeing if things are working out the way they should, because if your direct labor, right, that should be a pretty constant number. You should be able to keep that number to stay pretty steady unless you've got an efficiency problem. And regardless of how much work you produce, you want that number to stay relatively consistent, all right? And then you'll see what's happening, though, is that as you're able to produce more, you're able to drag that indirect labor number down, okay? I hope that makes sense. These are just some super easy numbers, and this is a good number to track weekly, and then you can roll it into monthly, and then you can start, like I said, benchmarking yourself against the previous weeks or the previous period. And that, talking about that benchmarking, that's where it gets important. Rather than trying to benchmark yourself against some industry standard or what a competitor's doing or something like that, don't be in competition with anybody else. Be in competition with yourself. So if your labor, direct labor, was 40% this week, and we can agree that might be high, right? So we want to try to drag that down. Don't worry about what the industry's doing. Worry about the fact what you currently are at and what you've got to do to drag yourself down and get that percentage down so that you can turn around and generate that into more profit. Pretty basic, pretty simple. We'll talk about other numbers. We'll talk about other ways to track numbers later. If you got any questions or want anything expounded upon, just let me know. Y'all have a good day.